In this video, we will be doing a part 2 to my most viewed video comparing the Rode VideoMicro to the Movo VXR10. What's up everybody, I'm Jake McHugh and this channel is all about making better videos. I do gear reviews and test videos to help you determine what gear you need to make the videos you want to achieve. If that's something that may interest you, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. Like I mentioned, this is going to be part 2 to my original video comparing these two microphones, and I want to go into more detail of my findings since the last video, which was a year ago. I will be sharing my thoughts to some of the common questions that I got in that video, along with other tips that will help you get better quality audio from these two microphones. There will be a bunch of products mentioned throughout this video, and as always, they will be linked down in the description below, and these links will be affiliated, meaning that I will receive a commission at no extra cost to you. I will also have timestamps in the description as there's a lot to cover, so let's get into it right away. For starters, the Movo costs around $40 USD, and the Rode costs around $60. Now let's go over some general things about the microphones and the build quality. The microphones themselves are about the same size, with the Movo just being a little bit more dense or thicker overall. The Movo is known to be a more hotter or sensitive microphone when comparing the two, meaning that the noise floor will be higher, but this could be a good thing depending on if your camera has bad preamps, like Canon cameras for example. You can see the difference here. On the Movo, we have a plastic clip with a cold shoe mount on it, so that way you can mount it to your camera, along with a 1/4-20 thread on the bottom, while the Rode has a much nicer ride coat mount that helps avoid sound created by movement, and there's also a 3/8 thread on the bottom. What I like to do with the Rode is use this converter thread here to make it 1/4-20 on the bottom then, so it's easier to attach to a variety of different mounts. There was a few comments on how the mount of the Movo is a little brittle and breaks easily. I myself haven't ran into this issue, but I was able to find some replacements on Amazon for cheap, and you can get them in 3 or 6 packs, which is nice if you want to mount them on different rigs, so you could just clip the microphone from one setup to another. I think it's worth noting that both of these mics will fit in each other's mounts and dead cats, so if you want to mix and match components since you lost a dead cat for one or another, you could. For the dead cat, I prefer the Rode as it seems to be a nicer quality, and the Movo tends to shed a little bit. To show you the difference in quality, I will place the Movo with both dead cats in front of a fan. Now, when I'm inside, I actually prefer not to use the dead cat, and I actually found these foam windscreens to use instead, and these help prevent the pops and crackles if you weren't to use one at all. When it comes to the cord, the Rode is nicer in my opinion, as I had to replace the Movo once already, but the Movo does come supplied with a cord to use with smartphones as well, and this is appreciated because you don't have to go out and buy an additional cord like you would with the Rode. While we have a second, I want to show you guys some things about the Rode when it comes to putting it together for the very first time. So if we take a look at the Rode here, there's like 2 slots on here, and this bigger one is for the ride coat mount, and then we have the smaller one here for the dead cat. And if you place your finger inside the dead cat, you'll feel that there's like this little ring or like a lip right here, and that's for that slot there. So I find it easiest to have the microphone off the ride coat mount, and then you're going to stick it into the dead cat here. And what you're going to do is you want to take both of your hands here, you want to pull with the dead cat and then push with the microphone in, and you kind of will like feel it catch, and then once it's in that lip there, it's never coming off. When I originally got this microphone, this dead cat was always like falling off on me, and I never knew why, and then I came across this tip, and ever since I've done it, it never falls off now. So just want to make sure you guys know that because it's super handy. Then once you got the dead cat on, I just try to hold the hair back or the dead cat back as much as I can, so that way it doesn't really get caught when I slip the ride coat mount on. And then all you gotta do is throw the cord on and we're good to go. Once you have the mic on your camera, the tip here is to clip the cord into the mount above the camera and then wrap the cord around this mount, and this helps prevent the play, which causes noise from movement. To get the best results with both of these mics, it is recommended to turn off any auto mic level settings on your camera and to manually adjust the levels yourself until your voice begins to peak around -12 dB. A common question was if you could use one of these mics when the subject is moving around for exercise videos, or if you could use it on the camera and be a little further away. For someone that is moving around or not staying in the same spot, I would recommend a Lav that you could clip to your shirt and either plug straight into the camera if you are close enough or into a cheap recorder like the Zoom H4N. I will actually link to a very cheap lav mic that I use on my chest mount for my GoPro that I have had really great luck with. If you're doing exercise videos, maybe it would be a good idea to look into some type of headset model. I'm not really familiar with those, but that would probably be a great idea for that as well. Ideally, in these situations, you would want to use a wireless lav setup, but these can become really costly real quickly. But I will link to a budget-friendly one down in the description below. For as far as how far away from the mic you can be, it is always best to have the mic as close as possible to your subject. If this means having a tighter shot so you can have the mic closer while not being in frame, then so be it in my opinion. I will show you an example of how this applies right here. Alrighty, so I threw together this little setup here in a hallway to show you the difference on how far away from the mic you can be. And right now I'm about arm's width away from my camera, or about 3 feet, and my mic is sitting right on the camera body itself. And this is what it sounds like. And this is what it sounds like when you are about 6 feet away from the microphone and it's sitting on my camera right now. Let me know what you guys think on how this sounds, but it's probably not ideal. Alrighty, and this is what it looks like at about 12 feet away, but I have the shot tighter, and the reason for this is that I have the mic boomed overhead, and this is what it sounds like. This is going to probably give you more than likely the best results in this type of situation, and it probably is going to even sound better than when it was at 3 feet or 6 feet away. Even though we're further away from the camera, the microphone is closer to the subject or myself here, and this is why it sounds the best. To boom your microphone like I did in that example there, all I was using was a cheap microphone stand from Amazon with a 5/8 to 1/4-20 thread converter. That way you can easily attach your microphone. And ideally, you want to have your microphone pointed down around your chin to chest area. Next, I'll be doing a sound test inside the studio between these two microphones, the Samson CO2, which I'm using right now, which is a little bit more money, along with the camera's built-in mics. And what you'll be hearing is the raw, unedited audio coming from each mic. I will also be reading something off of my phone to make it easier to compare all the microphones at once at the end. So now you are listening to what the onboard mics sound like on my Sony a6400 here in the studio. And I usually don't recommend using the camera mics at all, but this may sound good enough to you. The Brewers have acquired outfielder Christian Yelich from Miami in exchange for outfielders Lewis Brinson and Monte Harrison, infielder Isan Diaz, and right-handed pitcher Jordan Yamamoto. Now you are listening to the Rode VideoMicro, and I have it just out of frame here on my microphone arm, and with this setup I have my mic levels set to 5 on my camera. The Brewers have acquired outfielder Christian Yelich from Miami in exchange for outfielders Lewis Brinson and Monte Harrison, infielder Isan Diaz, and right-handed pitcher Jordan Yamamoto. Now you are listening to the Movo VXR10, and I have this microphone just out of frame on my microphone arm, and with this setup my mic levels on my camera are set to 3 since this microphone is a little more hotter or sensitive. The Brewers have acquired outfielder Christian Yelich from Miami in exchange for outfielders Lewis Brinson and Monte Harrison, infielder Isan Diaz, and right-handed pitcher Jordan Yamamoto. And lastly, you are listening to the Samson CO2, which is an XLR microphone that cost a little over $100 for 2 of them. And I plugged this microphone into my Zoom H4N Pro Recorder and then sync later in post. I figure I would throw this one into the mix as well so you can see how the other 2 more budget-friendly options hold up or compared to a more expensive microphone. The Brewers have acquired outfielder Christian Yelich from Miami in exchange for outfielders Lewis Brinson and Monte Harrison, infielder Isan Diaz, and right-handed pitcher Jordan Yamamoto. The Brewers have acquired outfielder Christian Yelich from Miami in exchange for outfielders Lewis Brinson and Monte Harrison, infielder Isan Diaz, and right-handed pitcher Jordan Yamamoto. The Brewers have acquired outfielder Christian Yelich from Miami in exchange for outfielders Lewis Brinson and Monte Harrison, infielder Isan Diaz, and right-handed pitcher Jordan Yamamoto. The Brewers have acquired outfielder Christian Yelich from Miami in exchange for outfielders Lewis Brinson and Monte Harrison, infielder Isan Diaz, and right-handed pitcher Jordan Yamamoto. The Brewers have acquired outfielder Christian Yelich from Miami in exchange for outfielders Lewis Brinson and Monte Harrison, infielder Isan Diaz, and right-handed pitcher Jordan Yamamoto. Now, I'm not an audio engineer by any stretch of the imagination, but let's take a listen to those clips once again, and I will add some EQ, compression, and limiter to each of the samples. The Brewers have acquired outfielder Christian Yelich from Miami in exchange for outfielders Lewis Brinson and Monte Harrison, infielder Isan Diaz, and right-handed pitcher Jordan Yamamoto. The Brewers have acquired outfielder Christian Yelich from Miami in exchange for outfielders Lewis Brinson and Monte Harrison, infielder Isan Diaz, and right-handed pitcher Jordan Yamamoto. The Brewers have acquired outfielder Christian Yelich from Miami in exchange for outfielders Lewis Brinson and Monte Harrison, infielder Isan Diaz, and right-handed pitcher Jordan Yamamoto. The Brewers have acquired outfielder Christian Yelich from Miami in exchange for outfielders Lewis Brinson and Monte Harrison, infielder Isan Diaz, and right-handed pitcher Jordan Yamamoto. If there is one thing that I notice, I feel like the Movo is a little bit more directional than the Rode, and that would give you a little bit more reverb or echo in an indoor setting. This is an easy fix with adding some cheap moving blankets from Amazon or Harbor Freight just out of frame. I did a more in-depth video on how to use moving blankets to improve your audio, and I'll have that linked up in the cards and down in the description below, and I highly recommend checking that out regardless of the mic that you're using. Now let's go outside to see how these mics compare in a vlogging situation. Alrighty, so what you're first hearing here in the backyard is the Rode VideoMicro, and I have it plugged into my Sony a6400, and my mic levels are the same as they were in the studio. I have my voice peaking around -12 dB, and my mic level is set at 5 on this camera. But I want you guys to hear what this sounds like in an outdoor or vlogging situation. So I'm just gonna walk around here quick and talk to the camera. I want you guys to listen for ambient noises like birds chirping, for example, the wind, and or like leaves falling. So I want you guys to listen to that, compare it to the Movo, and let me know what you think down in the comments below. I think both of these mics are really great for the price, but I just want to hear what you guys have to say about the sound quality that you hear in this video. And we will try the Movo next. Alrighty, so now you are listening to the Movo VXR10 on my Sony a6400, and the mic levels on this one this time are at 4. I bumped it up just a little bit this time. That way I'm hitting -12 dB at a more consistent rate. But this is what it sounds like in a vlogging situation when you're walking around. I want you guys to once again listen for that ambient noise, see if it's more directional. Is it my voice and my voice only that you're hearing, or is it more ambient like the Rode, where you can hear the wind, the birds chirping, the leaves, and such like that? So I think that there's a little bit of a difference here, but it'll be kind of interesting to see once we get back into the studio. But let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of these mics so far in the studio test, as well in here as this test here. But let's jump back into the studio and I will give you my final thoughts. Overall, I feel like you can't go wrong with either of these mics, especially for their price. Primarily for voices like mine, I think the Movo is a little bit nicer, as I find it handles the lower frequencies better, and for when you need something a little bit more directional. If you are someone that uses a Canon camera, I would highly recommend the Movo, since the Canons tend to have bad preamps as well. If you are someone that uses either Sony or Panasonic, you really could go with either one. For Panasonic, I would maybe lean towards the Rode a little bit more, since on those cameras you can only drop the preamp so much, and with hotter microphones you clip in some situations. If you don't want to deal with camera preamps at all, you could also use the Zoom H1 or H4N recorder with the mic and then sync in post. Now this is going to be a little bit more money, but the preamps in this recorder is going to be a lot better than what you find in most cameras, and syncing in post is pretty easy to do nowadays in most video editors. And lastly, for my smartphone users, I would go for sure with the Movo, since you get 2 cables and you get one that you can use with your phone for now, and then if you upgrade someday down the line to a camera, you have a cable to use with that camera as well. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure you hit that thumbs up button down below and subscribe if you want to see content like this in the future. And I will catch you guys in the next video.